confirmation bias. This is something that you are hurting yourself with all the time. We all tend to do this as human beings, right? So you're going to see things. You've heard me say to you, hey, what you seek, you shall find. How you see things is how you see it through your lens. It's basically the same thing. But let me kind of break it down so you can understand confirmation bias. Let's say you have a preconceived notion of something. You already don't like something and you're looking for more of a reason to not go. If there's new evidence that presents itself, you're going to be like, see, this is why I'm not going to go. That's a confirmation bias, right? So if you hear me talk to you about being negative all the time, you don't want to live in a negative headspace. You don't want to be negative. Well, when you are negative, you're going to see it as negative, which is the confirmation bias. And you'll look for reasons. You'll see, this is why I'm stupid. This is why I can't do it. Look, I failed at it. Yeah, you think so? Yeah, you probably did. And failure is good because it's learning, but you probably did because it's the first time you picked up a pickleball racket and you've decided, I suck at it. I didn't think I'd like it in the first place, and I suck at it. Well, of course you do, because you just started 5 seconds ago. See, when you are looking from your skewed perspective, right, your limited belief and all of that, you will only see it from that perspective. And that's a confirmation bias, right? So if you're looking at something, and this happens a lot, not just from your experience. Let's say you're like, okay, I really don't want to go to this thing, but I'm going to go, right? Now you've already said to yourself, oh my gosh, my social anxiety is going to be high. It's going to suck. I mean, what am I going to do? I don't even have an exit strategy. Like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? It's going to suck. I just know it's going to suck. Well, guess what? It is going to suck. It's absolutely going to suck. Let me tell you that right now, right? No, you can't will things into positivity, but what you can do is you can say, okay, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to go into it vulnerable, because vulnerability is a superpower and you keep pushing the vulnerability away from you, and you've got to stop doing that. Vulnerability is a superpower. But what happens is you're afraid to be raw and open. You're too concerned on, well, if there's a dead space in the middle of the conversation, it's awkward. No, it's not awkward. It's just you guys have run out of things to say. It only feels awkward because you feel like you're supposed to fill the space, right? So if you go into that thinking that way, those things are going to always present themselves, right? Even if it's not really as you think it is, but it's as you perceive it, right? So in a confirmation bias, it's that way. So let's say, going back to that party, you're going to go to this party. You're already miserable. You don't want to go. You said 3 people how you don't want to go, but you're going anyway. So you get dressed. You do all of those things. You're like, okay, fine, I'm going to go. Well, you will have a miserable time. Every now and again, you might surprise yourself and be like, wow, it really wasn't all that bad. But for the most part, you're going to, and everything minor is going to be a big deal. Look at this line. I knew it was going to suck. Look at this line. Yeah, there's a line because it's a club, and at every club there's lines. Like, yes, there's a line. Then you get inside and you go, oh my gosh, it's packed. Yep. You're at a club. It's probably going to be packed. Yep, that's true. Okay. Oh, I can't even get a drink. Look, the bartender's not paying attention to me. Oh, this is awful. Yep. Because it's how you see it. Versus, let's do that same scenario. You get there and you go, all right, this club is jumping. Look at the line. This club's jumping. Okay. See, same line, different perspective. Right? Now, you go in and you're like, ooh, there's some people here. Okay. There's a lot of energy here. I got to know where my bandwidth is. Maybe I'm not going to go right in the middle of it, but that means I can also dance a little crazy. I can just really let my hair down because there's so many of us in here. Okay. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, let me just stand here. Let me be a little patient. And then when the bartender comes, I'm going to get 2 drinks because I know how long it's taking me to get this 1 drink. Boom. Same scenario, different viewpoint on how you see it. And you will be more patient with people, because now if you're miserable and you don't want to be in the first place and somebody cuts in front of you to get this drink before you do, you've now become unhinged because you said how miserable it was. Now you're texting people and saying, I told you it was going to suck. Look at this sucky club. Yeah. And you're going to always see it that way. And you say, well, how do you change it? You change it by giving yourself the what if on the opposite side. So instead of saying it's going to suck, it's going to do all that, you say, okay, oh, this is going to be a little challenge for me to step out of my comfort zone, but I'm facing it. I'm good for it. And you know what? It's good. It's good for me to get out. It's okay if there's dead space and dead air. It's fine. See, it's all about how you're going to see it. And then your confirmation bias can work for you or against you. And it works for you when you're choosing to see it from a positive perspective. When you are a positive thinker, when you are seeing things in a Zen space and you're living in the present space, does that mean that you never have depressions, episodes, sadness, anger, all this stuff? Nope, that's not what that means at all. That's an expectation you got to put to the side, put a pin in it and know that it doesn't exist. What it does mean is when those times happen, you go, okay, this is a moment in time. This is something I know for me, if anything, I don't really necessarily get triggered much anymore, but if there's something I feel a little about, I go, that's a part of me that's still a little raw. What areas do I still need to work on? So I don't get mad and go, that's my trigger. That's my trigger. I go, oh, okay, what am I learning by this? But it's my confirmation bias. Right? So if you already have a preconceived notion before you walk into a building that you're going to see 10 people that you don't like, you probably will see 10 people that you don't like anyway, because you're breathing that into existence, number one. But number two, even if you don't really not like them, you're going to be like, not my favorite person. I knew I was going to see this. You got to stop doing that. See, you think that you're doing yourself this solid. It's the same thing in relationships. Right? If you go into a relationship and you're super insecure because this last person cheated on you, you haven't fully healed it. So now you're in this new relationship and you go, well, said he's late. Yep. That's what happened the last time. So now you start going down the rabbit hole of investigation, looking at all that stuff, and you see a message and you go, yep, I knew I was right. And I use this example a lot. I call everybody babe and love. Everybody. I don't care if you're married, single, old, young, male, female, non-binary. I'm still going to call you love. And a lot of times say love ya. It's just me. That's how I am as a human. I'm not changing that. So let's say your partner, right, decides they're going to see me for sessions. They're going to come to me for sessions because they want to work through some stuff. And they're not telling you because it's really not your business. It's their privacy, right? For some odd reason, you guys know this. I've used this example before. For some odd reason, you're walking by and the phone lights up and it's me saying, hey, I can't make that appointment at 1. I can't see you at 1. Can I see you today at 2? I got a little tied up, but I'm really looking forward to talking to you. And he goes, yes, that sounds good. 2, I'm open. Yep. I can't wait. I got so much to share with you. Right. And I said, okay, see ya. Or I might say, love ya. Especially if you've been with me for a while, say love you. Typically not day 1, but I just love people. It's just who I am. I'm not changing it. Now, if your confirmation bias is this person's cheating on me, you're going to swear 7 days to Saturday that this person's cheating on you. I've already said, who are you meeting? You're supposed to meet somebody at 1, right? You said you were working. You said you were working. You're supposed to meet somebody at 1. You weren't working. Now the person goes, what are you talking about? If you must know, I'm seeing somebody for therapy and coaching. That's what I'm doing. Now, 2 things. 1, you'll either be like, yeah, right. Or you'll be like, oh, okay. And then you are a little bit like, oh, I'm really sorry. Yeah, you should be, because you shouldn't be going through somebody's stuff. But because you assume that somebody is cheating, you're going to find that somebody's cheating even if they're not. And it can work the other way around. You can glorify somebody. You can put them on this pedestal. You can keep them up to the high heavens and feel as though they can do no wrong. This could be a parent. This is why you have a hard time letting go of things. You put them up on this pedestal. And this pedestal, the higher you put them, the harder they fall. And they will fall very, very hard, very, very fast. So you got to stop putting everybody and looking at things from a confirmation bias. It is seeing things as you choose to see them, but always know that when you see something, you're going to see it with the confirmation bias of what it is that you believe, what it is that you're thinking about, and what it is that you are experiencing. And the only way to change that is to be consistent with doing things that make you uncomfortable. Don't snoop. Don't start thinking that everybody's just out to get you. Don't use those big victim words like everybody, nobody, always, never. You don't want to use those words. And you want to change your confirmation bias. So people go, my God, you're always looking for the silver lining. Yeah, I am. Because I mean, either that or I'm going to be miserable. For a long time, I lived miserable. Remember? Like I told you that. Long time I lived miserable. Long time. Oh, and that was my own doing because I couldn't get out of my headspace from my confirmation bias. So I can tell you that I know it's not easy to get out of your confirmation bias, but it is absolutely mandatory. And the only way that it's going to happen is if you're repetitive in nature. You have to be repetitive in your actions. You must be repetitive in your actions. It's not a one-off. It's not a two-off. It's not I'm on this journey and I'll never fall backwards. No, it isn't. So you got to be consistent, but you got to be aware that just because you see things from your perspective, you're always going to see it from a certain level because that's how your confirmation bias chooses to see it. So this is why you have to slow down. You have to do your inner work. You have to. And that's why the 5 journals are amazing, because it gives you a space to process those those biases, right? And then you're not looking to confirm to be right. That's your ego. If you need to be right about everything and you need to have the last word and you need to be heard, ego. It's never going to serve your best and highest good that way. All right. But just so you know, if you're like, gosh, why is it that I'm always looking and I always think I see what I see? Well, because it's a confirmation bias. That's just how the brain works. But guess what? Your brain is a program. And guess what happens with programs? You get to reprogram them and rewrite them and solidify them any way you want.